You know, you'd have to go back 20 years to the days of Robert Miller to find a British rider up at the front in the mountains, riding with the best climbers in the world. And of course, we're not suggesting that Bradley Wiggins is another Robert Miller. He doesn't have the classic climber's build, for one thing. But having established himself as the best in the world on the track, he made a conscious decision this season to reinvent himself as a rider. And so far, the results are impressive. Well, here's how Brad's second day in the Pyrenees looks. Shorter than the first, 176.5 kilometres as opposed to 224, taking the race out of Andorra where it finished yesterday and back into France. 3 climbs on the stage, starting with the Port d'Envalira just before the border, which tops out at 2,400 metres, although the riders will already be at high altitude when they started. Then, after the second category Col de Port, the Category 1 Col d'Agnès at over 1,500 metres before a long downhill run to Saint-Giron. In fact, it's 45 kilometres from the top of the last climb to the finish line. Plenty of time, in theory at least, for anyone who's struggled going uphill to make up lost time. Tour Hushoff managed to haul himself over the 2,400 metre peak of the Port d'Envalira with a tack off the front of a breakaway to take maximum points at the first 2 intermediate sprints. And in doing so, he edged ahead of Mark Cavendish. Highly commendable, but ultimately futile, was an attempt by Cadel Evans to get away on the first climb. More successful was a Saxo-Bank move to put Fabian Cancellara into a break where he might be able to andy Schleck. On the final climb of the day, the Col d'Agnès, the favourites were all together, in a group also containing the new yellow jersey, Rinaldo Nocentini.
Now Andy Schleck now has decided he's going to make a move. Andy Schleck has said that the first stage of the mountains was not that important, but right on his wheel, you might not be able to see it, is Alberto Contador. So Andy Schleck right now looking over his shoulder. This is something that they've set up. They want to get rid of as many riders as possible straight across, almost no time at all, up to Willems. There is Andreas Kloden. I'm looking to see the black helmet there. The black helmet of Lance Armstrong is also present. Frank Schleck is over to the right-hand side. And I cannot for the moment see the presence of the yellow jersey.
They've called Cancellara from the break to pace Andy at the front of the splintering peloton. That's teamwork for you now, and that can only spell trouble for Nocentini. Or is he really good enough to wear that yellow jersey? We are watching the first big move of the day today. Well, the second really. Cadel Evans tried and failed on the Port d'Envalira, but now this is Andy Schleck, proudly wearing the jersey of the champion of Luxembourg. Cancellara has come back, tried to help him, has dropped away now. And there is Yellow, who is looking to be in trouble. The boys are trying to keep him in sight, but with Contador and Lance Armstrong moving clear, if they finish 6 and 8 seconds ahead of Yellow, he'll be back to at least third tonight. This is a viciously hard climb. It's not just the gradient, it is the speed. The race has gone today. It's running about 8 minutes ahead of best time, and they're continuing a pace on the climb. Now, this is a very, very select group, and if the hammer goes down over the top, they could ride to the finish and try and chase down the leaders. Armstrong is here, Contador is here, Leipheimer is here, Van der Velde is here, Frank and Andy Schleck are here, Carlos Sastre is here. I think Denny Menchoff is even here at the moment. Kreuziger has just caught up. We're back into the band of contenders altogether. The only disadvantage to this move is that it is 42 kilometres from the top to the finish. It is a long way.
So it's 1 minute and 25 seconds, and in fact the group of the yellow jersey is starting to eat their way back.
Well, there are the 3 riders, Menchoff, Fletcher, and I'm still missing the 3rd member of Rabobank who is there, but I would say it's Laurens ten Dam because he's been riding so well. But is it Oscar Freire? That would be an interesting combination if it was. There's the face of the maillot jaune. We say it, if you pull on a yellow jersey, you ride like 2 men. Nocentini is suffering, but at the moment he's hanging on to the gap.
Who's coming back because of the efforts of this man on the front, Stéphane Goubert. He's now pulled it back, Phil, to 21 seconds. He doesn't need to catch this group before the top of the climb, but if he keeps it between 30 seconds to 1 minute, I predict that he will come back on the descent.
And I am just stunned by the speed these guys are climbing the mountains today. They look as though they're flying a bit. We're only just over 3.5 kilometres from the summit now for the 3 leaders. And Nocentini knows, he's saying so, if I can just get over the top, 35, 40 seconds, 45 seconds back, I've got 42 kilometres to catch up with Contador and Armstrong, and I will stay in yellow tonight. That's all he'll be thinking about.
And if the yellow jersey catches up to the Lance Armstrong, Contador and the rest of the challengers group, that will be a good sign for the leading group of 4, because they will then probably give up the chase behind the 4 men.
That's right, there's no reason to chase anymore. This is the Latong de l'Air, which is in the municipality of the area which we know as Le Port. It's 2 hectares of water down there, and as we've gone around the inside, it must have looked very welcoming at the moment.
It certainly is, and it actually sits in an area which is known as the pick of the 3 seigneurs, and I think we're looking at a lot more than 3 seigneurs in the sport of professional cycling here this afternoon, because in the group of Contador, I think all of the grand seigneurs of the sport are currently present and correct.
They've done their battle, they've waited for the Agne yesterday. The Envolé was sadly too far from the end of the ride. And somebody else just shot into that pack, and I think it was Garati.
Yes, but look at the difference. That is the group of the yellow jersey at, what, 5 seconds, and they're very shortly going to all come back together.
Goubert's been fantastic.
A little bit of a flurry of activity from Andy Schleck, giving us an eye-opener as to what we can expect for when we get into the Alps in about 10 days' time. Today, the climb, I think, just a little bit too far away from the finish to dislodge the yellow jersey, but he certainly created a little bit of excitement.
Well done, Ronaldo.
Having fought his way back, Nocentini stayed with the main group over the top of the Col d'Agnès, so his yellow jersey was looking safe. The stage win was going to be contested between the members of the 4-man break, Astolosa, Cazar, Efimkin and Sanchez.
Look at the speed now, Sanchez. He's going to have to bury himself, and Driss taking 2 of the riders to the line. Desperate moments here, also for Vladimir Efimkin. Sandy Cazar has waited. Sanchez tipped it and has swept over the top of him. And now Sandy Cazar is trying to repeat the feat of Ongoing as he races up. Now the kick by Luis Leon Sanchez. Shades of Aurillac a year ago, as he finally has done it. He's got his win, deserves it. What a gamble, and he's won.
A morale-boosting win for Kestepan by Luis Leon Sanchez on the day that his team leader Oscar Pereiro abandoned through simple lack of form. 2 minutes later, another Kestepan rider, Jose Joaquin Rojas, won the bunch sprint at the head of the main field for 5th. In there, along with all the big names, were the 7 syllables of the man in the yellow jersey. Having snatched it on the first day in the Pyrenees, Rinaldo Nocentini had held on to it on the second. The GC, in fact, was unchanged from the day before. Nocentini still 6 seconds ahead of Alberto Contador, with Lance Armstrong another 2 seconds back in 3rd. Levi Leipheimer making it, and Astana 2-3-4, and Britain's Bradley Wiggins 5th. The big change was in the green jersey competition. Tour Hushovd 1 point behind Mark Cavendish at the start of the stage, now 11 points ahead after a massive effort far from his natural habitat on the flat.
Of course, it takes a lot out of me. I gave everything today to get these points. That was also the goal this morning, and everything went perfect. So yeah, I'm really happy now. But tomorrow I need a rest.